A truck driver will not face criminal charges for hitting a woman who was sitting on the sand at the oceanfront.
The accident happened back in September. Today, the Commonwealth's attorney announced there will be no charges. Chanu has more.
Well, guys, this happened after Labor Day weekend. The woman was sitting in a chair when the truck hit her. The woman went to the hospital with significant injuries, but she did survive. A local attorney I spoke with says this was a unique case. It was the weekend after Labor Day, with people still out at the beach, when things took a tragic turn. A truck driver hitting a woman sitting on a chair at the oceanfront. The driver was an independent contractor working for an event organizer and was on the sand picking up equipment after a Labor Day weekend event. The woman had significant injuries, but on Wednesday, months after the September incident, the Virginia Beach Commonwealth's attorney ruled no charges will be filed against the driver per their investigation.
Well, it's an unusual case.
Gary C. Byler is an attorney from Virginia Beach. He has decades of experience dealing with injury cases.
It's a hybrid case where you've got some traffic issues involved, and then the right-of-way on a beach is obviously something we don't deal with every day.
The Commonwealth's attorney says there was insufficient evidence from their investigation to charge the driver with any criminal or traffic offense.
Every case is different. I don't think there's any question about the injury sustained in this case, but that doesn't necessarily lead to facts sufficient for a conviction.
Byler believes not criminally prosecuting someone doesn't necessarily mean that person wasn't negligent or at fault. Just means the criminal law doesn't provide a recourse. However, he believes the case probably should have been handed to another city.
This is, again, a hybrid set of facts, and it's a little complex, all the more reason to bring in a set of eyes that are independent from the city in any respect. Because of the unique facts of this case being on a beach, I can understand the Commonwealth's reluctance to prosecute.
And we reached out to the Commonwealth's attorney for additional comment, but they told me they weren't interested in commenting any further. Chanu, 13 News Now.
A 17-year-old died after he was shot tonight in Hampton. It happened around 7 o'clock on Fulton Street. That's near South Mallory Street and East Mellon Street. This is a photo of the scene from Hampton police. Investigators say the 17-year-old boy died after he was rushed to the hospital. The motive for the shooting is unknown at this time, and police are still looking for the killer.
Tonight, the military says it is too early to know what caused a C-130 to crash onto a highway in Georgia. All 9 crew members, part of Puerto Rico's Air National Guard, died. The military plane had taken off from an airport in Savannah, Georgia, and was headed to Arizona, where it was to be retired. Instead, witnesses say the plane seemingly fell out of the sky and turned into a fireball when it hit the highway. Authorities say this is a busy roadway, and it is a miracle that no cars or homes were hit by the plane.
All right, so a C-130 literally just dropped out of the sky and blew up on the street. Oh my God.
National Guard officials say the C-130 was more than 60 years old. It was used to rescue U.S. citizens stranded in the British Virgin Islands after Hurricane Irma last year. The plane also delivered supplies to Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. All 9 crew members, again killed today, also helped with those hurricane recovery efforts. Here's a closer look at the C-130 aircraft. It flew for the first time in 1954. The huge plane is designed with a high wing. It has a roll-on, roll-off loading ramp in the back. The plane can carry troops or cargo and airdrop equipment or people into battle zones. It's the longest continuous military plane in history.
6 police officers were injured in an explosion in North Haven, Connecticut. The officers were responding to a report of a man barricaded in a house with his family. Authorities say the officers were trying to get the man to come out when a barn behind the house exploded. It is believed the officers will be okay. There was a large fire after the explosion. Witnesses say there were several small explosions that followed. State police are assisting with the investigation tonight. The tight-knit community of Towano is grieving tonight after a 12-year-old boy was allegedly shot and killed by his own mother. James City County Police are calling it an apparent murder-suicide. The boy has been identified as Noah Gallegos. Robert Boyd talked to some of Noah's classmates. They are obviously in shock.
Well, Regina, today we made a couple stops throughout the community, including Noah's own middle school. We spoke with different students who knew him. They all said he was a great person, and they can't believe he's gone.
He was like a really good friend. Like every time I was down, he was there for me, but that's going to be different now that he's gone.
Thomas Saunders went to 6th grade with Noah Gallegos at Toano Middle School. He says recess won't be the same without one of his best friends.
He was funny. He was really funny. He told like these really funny jokes and everything. His personality was like really great. He never said anything bad about anyone. He was just like a really nice boy.
Thomas's father says it's been tough finding the right words to comfort his son.
Things happen something like we don't have no control over. The only thing you do is pray about it and put in the Lord's hand and let him take care of the rest.
According to James City County Police, they received a 911 call from Noah's home on Little Creek Dam Road around 9:20 Wednesday morning. The woman on the line was the boy's mother, 35-year-old Janelle Georgia Gallegos.
The woman appeared to be distraught and possibly suffering from some sort of mental health issues because the statements she was making were kind of erratic.
Police say while they were on their way to the home, the mother shot and killed her son before turning the gun on herself.
That's something that we're going to have to sit down and talk about probably tonight, because it's very upsetting. And why would a mother, hurt her own child? I can't fathom it at all.
Pam Wilson has a daughter who goes to Toano Middle School and remembers seeing Noah in the hallways.
I know some people who were very close to him. He was a good student and that he was good in school.
Williamsburg James City County Schools said they are providing counselors for students and faculty.
I'm going to miss him. I'm going to really miss him.
Now, the school district said they reached out to parents of Noah's school to make sure they know what happened and also to refer them to any resources that could help their families during this very difficult time. Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
2 people indicted today in the case of a murdered preschool teacher in Norfolk. The case against Taniqua Cushman and Edward Shaw went to a grand jury today. Shaw is now charged with first-degree murder, upgraded from a second-degree murder charge. Cushman's indictment is for conspiracy to commit a felony. The 2 are accused in the shooting death of 50-year-old Caroline Hendricks. The longtime teacher was killed on New Year's Eve near Ward's Corner.
For the first time, we're seeing some of the body cam video from the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. The video shows Las Vegas police and SWAT officers making their way to the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel as gunman Stephen Paddock rained bullets down below. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez has more.
Each tense moment captured on police body cameras.
Shield up, shield up.
Officers moving cautiously down the halls of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, searching the wrong floor, the wrong room.
Police.
Trying desperately to find the gunman mercilessly shooting into the crowd of concert goers below, killing 58 innocent people, injuring hundreds of others. Warning people in the casino oblivious to the danger.
There's a shooter. You guys need to leave.
You see sweat dripping down one officer's face as members of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department strike team finally take their positions outside of Stephen Paddock's room, blowing down the door.
Breach.
Inside the suite on the 32nd floor, finding those high-powered rifles, thousands of rounds of ammunition, and the deadliest mass shooter in U.S. history dead after turning one of those guns on himself. Police were ordered by a judge to release the videos. These are just the first 3 hours, with thousands of hours more still set to be released. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Tonight, the scandal involving Stormy Daniels took an interesting turn. On Fox News, President Trump's new lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, said the president repaid attorney Michael Cohen for an alleged $130,000 payment to the porn star. President Trump has said he did not know about the payment and that he didn't know where Cohen had gotten the money. Tonight, Giuliani said the payment was legal because it was not campaign money. The president denies Stormy Daniels' claims that they had sex back in 2006. She says Cohen paid her to keep quiet about it.
Tonight, there's a scandal involving the Redskins cheerleaders. The New York Times reports the cheerleaders were forced to pose topless during a photo shoot for a calendar. It happened back in 2013 during a trip to Costa Rica. The cheerleaders claimed that members of the team invited men to watch the photo shoot. Some of the cheerleaders were then allegedly required to attend a nightclub event as escorts for the team's male sponsors. The Redskins responded by saying each cheerleader is contractually protected to ensure safety and constructive environment.
Just call them Scouts. After more than a century, the Boy Scouts are changing their name. The program for the 11 to 17-year-olds will become Scouts BSA. They're changing the name to be more welcoming since girls will be allowed to join starting next year. Girls are already allowed to be Cub Scouts, which is the program for younger kids. Officials think boys and girls in Scouts BSA will refer to themselves simply as Scouts without adding boy or girl to the title.
A crash caused a major backup this evening on I-264. State police say 2 vehicles were involved, including a motorcycle. It happened in the westbound lanes of the interstate near Laskin Road in Virginia Beach. Life-threatening injuries were reported. All westbound lanes were shut down and detours were set up. The cause of the crash is under investigation.